I stuff. Thank you. Do you want me to go put one of those extra chairs off the stage?
He's always the devil.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Hello. Cool. All right. Well, good evening, everybody. Thank you for your uproarious applause. I know I'm so famous. No, okay, don't pity me. Right. I don't like echo. I don't like hearing my own voice. But I tell you, I'm my own opener because I'm so famous, and I'd like to tell you about my trip to the doctors. I've had numerous doctor's appointments in the last couple months. I went to the doctors one day and they said, "Oh, you're gonna be fine. It's just a common cold." And I found out in the ER that common cold really doesn't describe pneumonia that well. Right. And I was in the ER and the lady there asked me, "Oh, you ever?" Well, let me put it this way. They had to give me a breathing treatment to help my lungs expand more, and the lady there, and it was the most ironic thing I ever thought she asked was, "You ever been to a hookah lounge before?" And I'm thinking, yeah, I really went to a hookah lounge because I got pneumonia. Yeah, and because she had to have me taking a breathalyzer, and okay, great, I guess. No, I've never been to a hookah lounge, ma'am. But I've been getting better. They've been giving me antibiotics and medicine, and those things truthfully help out. And I'm glad that all the doctors can help me out.
Do you want a different microphone?
That would be stellar. That would be stellar. You can all be just a smidge quiet, and I'll just talk for now. I have been being seen by the doctors. It's nice that the doctors help me out, but the people who do the appointments, not so much. I had some stomach pains, and that's very rare, and that could have meant I had a bleeding ulcer for all I know. And I'm not concerned, and I didn't know that the clinic up here at school does not work like an ER, in the sense that when I went to go see them, the lady asked me, I asked the lady, can I be seen right now? I've had some chest pains, and I figured since she's been seeing me for, she's been seeing me for a while that I could, she'd understand, there we go. She'd understand that I've been chronically ill. When you see somebody in the doctor's office for a while, you kind of feel sympathy for them. Not this lady, not at all. I'm sorry, it didn't seem like she did. And you would think that she'd see that I'm chronically ill, that I'm coming back like every week. And then I tell her when I get up to the counter, she's like, "What's wrong?" And it's like, "Well, I've been having some stomach pains for about 6 hours, ma'am." She's like, "Well, we can't see you right now. We can see you in like an hour or so?" And I'm like, "No, I have class." "Well, when can you be seen tomorrow?" And I thought inside my head, because I'm not this rude, but I thought to her, "Wow, you can see me in a coffin because I might die. Thanks. Real helpful." Right, yeah. Stellar. And I got better after I got seen the next day. I actually skipped the class because I don't do that often. And I got help for that. And then I went back 2 Mondays ago, the Monday before Thanksgiving. And the doctor's, he's trying to help me out and get better. And he's like, "Well, how are you feeling?" And I'm telling him, I'm fatigued. I'm very tired all the time, and it's difficult to sleep sometimes. And he's like, "Well, you think you're stressful and anxious?" And I told him I really don't know the medical definitions, but maybe, I don't know. And he has me fill out this questionnaire and at the top of it says stress and anxiety test. I'm thinking to myself, "Oh, okay, that's okay. I'll fill it out. Sure, they're here to help me, And I'm filling this out, and one of the questions, and it was appalling that I had to answer this question, and I'm not trying to joke that, if you ever need help, if you ever need to talk to someone, please go do this, but the appalling ability that I had to answer a question of, do you feel like the world would not be, with you. Do you think it would be okay if you weren't here in the world? And I had to immediately circle the one, no, I want to live. Please, I'm not there. I'm not suicidal. No. But I get sad sometimes. And I finish it up and I turn into the doctor. I'm confused. And I turn into the doctor and he comes back in about 10 minutes later and he says, well, Nick, we'd like to hate to inform you, but we've assessed you with severe depression. And I thought to myself, wow, that's depressing. That's great. That's the best news of my day. Thanks, Doc. Cool. Awesome. That's great. And he said, well, what are you doing over Thanksgiving break? And I had to tell him, and I try not to, guilt people into feeling, people give me these, like, oh my God, lucky you, because I told them I'm going to Hawaii. And it was a beautiful trip. And it was very beautiful. He told me, good luck on your trip, and, take all your medicine, and let me know how it goes, and hopefully, it'll help you with your depression. And I said, hopefully. And I get there, and the plane ride is... It was actually amazing, the fact that I think people complain enough about airline food, and I'm not even making a joke about airline food, I'm making a meta joke about airline food, that people complain so much about the airline food, they don't even serve it now anymore. Seriously. 8-hour flight. From 9 hours, from Chicago O'Hare Airport to Honolulu Airport. They do not serve food. Okay, I'm a big guy. I need some food. Thank you anyways. I appreciate that. It is astronomical how much they charge you. $7 for a small bag of chips, a little bit of chip dip, barely any Nutella. The Nutella, yeah, everybody loves Nutella. We all do. And it fit in my hand. I could close my hand and I could carry it around like a spy. Yeah. And this whole thing was $7, and I'm just appalled by the audacity that they charged me. And then the rudest thing, though, is that you cannot bring any water at all, but they'll charge you $3 for, base minimum, $3 for a bottle of water. Thanks, that's cool. No, it's completely overcharging you, and they do that all the time, and we finally notice it now because I'm getting older. And I notice I'm getting older by a lot of different things lately. One of them is that I now prefer oatmeal raisin cookies to chocolate chip. Right, yeah, and once you have a oatmeal raisin cookie when you're older, you go, wow, these are so much better. And then you think to yourself in the honest terms of well, chocolate chip, that's kind of fattening, and I can't afford to do that, and I could probably eat a box of oatmeal raisins, but not chocolate chip, and, oh well, at least I'm not to the ginger snap cookie portion of my life, because those things taste disgusting, and I don't want to get there until at least I'm 35. Maybe at least. Totally depressing, I don't think. Oh, and about depression, let me ask you a question. Where is the worst place to put a talent show poster? An open answer. The worst place, and it's a horrible joke. The worst place is to put a talent show poster is on the floor. Talentless, depressed people can't hang their head any lower. Oh, I know. I had that joke for 3 years, and I finally got to use it. Thank you. It was. I thought of that in high school in 10th grade. Actually, 4 years now. We saw it. We thought, wow, wouldn't it be a great idea to advertise a talent show poster on the ground? And then the kid tells me I can't hang my head any lower if I look at this and I'm depressed. I can't go like this. I'm bowing now. I'm giving you thanks. No. Yeah. It's horrible. I'm a horrible person. Thank you. But the nice thing about Hawaii, though, beyond depression, the nice thing about Hawaii is just the fact that everything is better there. Completely everybody is better there. People are nicer. Even the locals, which you would assume would just hate everybody because that's what their economy is tourism. 100% is tourism. If they didn't have tourism, you'd just be an island in the middle of nowhere. Exactly. So, and I thought to myself, wow, it must be nice to work in Hawaii. I mean, even the shitty jobs gotta be really good. Someone comes up to you and says, you're talking to them, and you find and ask them, what's your job? I'm a garbage man. And you think to yourself in your head, because you're not really willing to admit to them that that's a really shitty job. But you think to yourself, oh, I'm sorry, and then you tell them that's okay, it's a nice job. But then when they add the words in Hawaii, then the person instantly thinks, wow, that must be an amazing job. And there's a lot of these jobs where I thought, like, God, just living in like warm weather just must make your job instantly better all the time, forever. And like I saw rays of sun coming from the clouds in the mountain backdrop, and I saw a field of growing pineapples. Like, how godly is that? How godly is that? You can't get any better. Better. My life, that's why I'm depressed. I go to Hawaii and nothing's better. I go to Michigan, sorry. Yeah. And I think about, what would a funeral director say? Like, you find out, oh, I'm a funeral director, and you feel pity for them, and then you'd ask them. But then he'd say, I'm sorry. Then he'd say, yeah, I'm a funeral director in Hawaii. And then you go, wow, do you hold funerals outside? Like, that's a legitimate question that I'm pretty sure someone's asked before, too. And here's a job that you probably didn't know existed. I didn't know existed until, 5 minutes later, until someone told me over there, is the people who put the makeup on dead people. Yeah, that's not a fun job. Except it's your beautician, maybe? And, I think, when they say, yeah, I would put makeup on people, dead people, you go, oh, then you're like, in Hawaii, it's like, oh, do you, like, put lays on them, too? And do you, like, lay them in the ground? Ha, 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 ha. Like, because it's a lay joke, I'm going to get laid. And it's like, dead people getting laid? What? Oh, you're 3 ways closer to hell now, dude. Come on. I'm pretty sure someone said that one as well. But the most interesting one, I think, would be just an animal waste. Yeah, it's really bad, man, I know. And an animal waste remover, I think, would be probably the worst, because you go, oh, that's kind of got to be an icky job, because I can't think of a better word than icky. And then they'd say, oh, in Hawaii, and then you'd be like, have you ever picked up any exotic birds before? Yeah, and then you think these are probably legitimate questions people have asked about jobs that are totally not fun in Michigan, but Hawaii, you have the sun, rays, backdrop of mountains, sand, pineapple growing, God, everything. And it's better. It's better in Hawaii. And I don't know whose idea exactly it was for me to come back to 18-degree weather, but thank you, Dad. Totally cool. Really happy to go from, yeah, really balmy, nice 70-degree weather all the time to a nice, balmy 18 degrees when I landed in Chicago. Super. And I actually have an interesting story. Damn it. But yeah, I have an interesting story. There we go. Interesting story. March 1st, 2010 was the first time, and hopefully last time, I've ever been approached by a police officer. Yeah. It's not good. So I was going to go visit one of my friends one day, and it was still snowing outside, and I didn't have my license, and of course, therefore, I didn't drive, and she lived about a mile away. And since I said it was still snowing outside, I had to get my bike out of the shed, so I'm not going to walk. And to get my bike out of the shed, I get a crowbar. And I get the crowbar out, and I peel open the shed because there's ice in the ground, and I set the crowbar in my basket, and I tell myself in my head, and I say it out loud too, because I totally forget everything. Take the crowbar out of the basket before you leave, because that's not going to look acceptable. And right, I didn't. Well, I get about 3/4 the way there, and my friend Mary calls me and says, I'm not ready, you can't come in right now to the house. And I'm thinking to myself, it's 18 degrees outside. Thanks? And so I go onto this paved offshoot of the road. I'm not going to sit in the road. I'm not going to sit in the dirt especially. I don't want to get hit and dirty. And I've had this paved offshoot, and I'm reading my phone. I'm sitting on the ground, and I got my bike there, and I'm just passing time by, how you would do. And I see a police car drive by, and I look up, and I think nothing of it at the time, and he comes back this way, and he pulls in, and I think to myself, oh. Now I don't do drugs, but hey, if that's your thing, cool, do it. I don't smoke weed, but I felt like I had a pound of weed. I swear to God. I'm just thinking to myself, I'm going to jail today. Oh yeah. And so I'm scared instantly. And the guy comes up to me, and I stand up. That's how I figure you would come to a police officer, but I quickly sit down because he says sit down. I'm like, sir. And he says, well, what are you doing here, son? And I'm like, I think to myself, I'm not your son. And I say out loud, I am just waiting for a friend to call me, sir. And then, how did it go from there? And then he asked me, oh, what's that crowbar doing in your basket there? And my heart just dropped completely. I'm like, yeah, I didn't have a quarter to call my parents from the jail cell phone. How prepared am I? What Eagle Scout are you? Yeah. So, and then it was 2 months after I got my Eagle Scout too, and that sidetrack. Sorry, little sidetrack. Being in Scouts for me was an 8-year-long journey, and having to deal with people that are going to make your life immensely difficult, forever. Yeah, 8 years of these people, and I was the lone Democrat. Apparently, in the group, everybody else was very strong Republican, and okay, hey, no hate, like it's fine. I'm not vocalizing really my opinions, but they all chose to, and I just chose to shut up. And if you don't have anything good to say, don't say it at all, except if you're talking about Christ the Lord. Yeah, and that was a lot of people there, and it was really difficult. Anyways, so 8-year-long difficult journey. I got my Eagle Scout, and now I'm being interviewed by cops, and I'm just thinking to myself, this is a great story. I'm going to tell one day in a coffee shop. And so, anyways, the guy asked me, what are you doing at that crowbar? And I couldn't think of an answer, and I just said, I just left it in there, sir. I had to open my shed, and I just left it in there. I forgot to take it out, and I'm really sorry. And he stands me up, and it was the most awkward pat down of my life. Yeah, they have to pat you down, and I'm like, this is a grown man, like he's like 40 something, and I'm like 18, and this is a really bad porno starting right now. Yeah, no. And he has to pat me down. I'm like, okay, yes, officer, dude, you know what you gotta do, dude. Okay, that's fine. And so after that point, he said, well, let me call some people and figure out what's going on. Turns out I had 2 more cars come, and 4 more cops total. For a total, 5 cops total, 3 cars for 18-year-old Nick here. Right. Like, shit, I didn't even break into anything yet. And I'm not even in trouble. Like, I had no intent to, but like, God, I'm done. I'm going to jail for life. And there's 3 questions that they asked me, and it was the most perplexing ones because I figured that they were all entrapment. And entrapment is admitting you did something when you really did think something along that lines. I'm not a legal expert. I'm telling you a story. And the first guy says, well, if you had the intent to do it, it's different than actually committing it, because if you didn't commit it, it's different. And I told him, officer, I'm sorry, I had no intent. I was just stupid. I was just completely stupid, and I left it in there. I'm sorry. And he goes away, and another guy comes back to me about 10 minutes later. I'm sitting there in the quiet cold, and I'm just rocking myself, going, I'm done. Someone's gonna have to pick me up from jail in like 3 years. I'm not going home today. Fuck. And I'm freaking out inside my head, and I'm trying not to show it my best. And the next guy comes up to me and says, well, can we look at your phone since you were talking about talking to a friend? And I said, sure, most definitely, sir, whatever to help you out. Like, I am giving them everything that they need. I'm not going to jail today. It is even county jail, and that shouldn't be that scary, but I don't want that record at all. And so the guy is looking up on my phone, and he sees that there's 3 missed calls, and he gives me the weirdest look of like, and I'm thinking to myself, oh, dude, she just didn't answer the phone! Come on! And that's why I hate when people don't answer the phone, because if I'm ever in a situation where I'm interviewed by a cop now, it's going to be that, oh, shit, it looks like I was meaning bad intent when I called them, and that's why they didn't answer for the last 3, 5, 10 times.
3, 5, 2.
Yeah, I don't know my numbers. I just get them. I don't even know my favorite numbers. And and then he's telling me, well, see, the reason, and this is the guy that brings the whole reason to why I'm here. And he's telling me, well, the reason why we had so many people come up to here is, well, do you look behind you, sir? And I just wanted to just, oh God, I pitied myself that I didn't look back and see that it was an RV storage facility. Right, yeah. You could totally break into that and steal a ton of shit. And I was looking back and I'm going, and I'm cold too, so that's how my fuck comes out. Fuck. And I even think that in my head, I'm thinking, it's on my head. And then the worst part, and it just hits it home completely as well. See, son, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm not your son still. None of you are my dad's. You know, my dad would be a lot better at this than you guys were. But anyways, I'm thinking of it. He tells me, well, the reason why we have 5 cops here and 3 cars is there's been a string of breaking and enterings in the Milford area with, get this. Can you guess what it is? A crowbar. Yes, we can all fill in the blank with that perfect answer. And then again, I'm still thinking, man, I'm going to jail today. Yeah, I'm gonna love. This is gonna be an interesting experience. Honestly, I've never been in the back of a cop car before. This would be cool. And then the alternative side of my head is going, no, it's not. Are you high? And then the most perplexing question, and I honestly thought this cop was high when he asked me this. Seriously, the original guy who came up to me, he came up to me this time and said, well, I have a question for you since you got that crowbar. Did you have any intention to stab her with the crowbar? Right, and my face was like, that hurts. Yes, exactly. And I thought in my head, for the briefest second, how the fuck do you stab one with a crowbar? I mean, I know it's, pointy, but it's not like a point. It's a sharp edge. You could hack somebody? Maybe? I don't know. But I immediately then responded to the officer. I'm like, no, I didn't know. Sir, how do you stab someone with a crowbar, sir? And that, what kind of idea was that? And it was just the scariest thing in my entire life with cops. And then this is the funniest part of it all is then they're like, oh, well, you're free to go. And then all of them leave and they give me the crowbar back. And I'm like, well, shit, now I should go in here. Now I should get some payment for this. Jeez. Maybe I should become a criminal just to justify the stupid shit I've gone through. Fuck. And that's the story of how Nick went to jail. But I was originally asked here to perform some... Thank you all for the comedic part. I was originally asked here to perform some slam poetry, and I have a piece... Not necessarily women empowerment. It's not any women empowerment either. But it's about empowering yourself to ask yourself honest questions. And with this, after this, I thank you guys for letting me perform. Tom York is singing about the pearly gates into my ears, about a videotape meant for the long replay, about the good days, about the perfect days in red, blue, green. And Johnny Cash's voice cascades into my ears about the man going around taking names. And he decides who is free and who is to blame. And the chords he plays nearly keep me sane. Yet neither of them even question an existence of God. And while their voices shine into my mind like a luminous sunshine on a summer's day, I have to step back and remember that there is no hell above and no sanctuary below either. Yes, I meant it that way. And all this preaching is getting in the way of now. It was John Lennon that said, live for today. But I guess we weren't ready for that. Now were we? If all of those who have preached happiness before us are dead, what does that tell us about our society? We weren't ready to live in a new harmony because the old dissonance of bigotry against those who were not an exact image of you were beaten with stones cast by all the sinners, supposedly put here by God itself, and until their bodies were sent into shock and collapsed into hell. And the true disciples were simply granted permission to get rid of anything they did not see fit, and they were to preach to fill seats, and that their way was the holy way. And the only thing that can sit in my mind is that their ideas are full of holes when they tell me my pain is a blessing from above. I smite the God that sends its agents to tell me there's a reason why. The lack of dopamine in my mind causes depression. How the ringing in my ears will slowly silence my world. And how I'll never see a clear picture in my life because my eyes cannot focus on anything that I love. Yes, I smite that God, that sadistic person that takes away everything I love before I can appreciate it. Grandmothers, grandfathers, mentors, gone because it was their time. Tell me how God exists when it ruins everything I love. Explain to me that it is my destiny to deserve the Supreme Being's shortcomings so I may appreciate this world better. Define to me what God is. Because this, right now, an eternity of nothing sounds better to me than believing for this false answer. Thank you very much. Now here's Sadie.
Thank you, Nick. That was awesome. Can we give him another round of applause?